Greetings, my dear friends. I'm happy to see you here. My name is Alex. Welcome to my channel. Negotiations is a form of communicating, interacting with people and sharing information. Every communication involves one sender, a message, and a recipient. Sounds simple, but communication is a far more complex subject. The transmission of a message from sender to recipient depends on a whole range of aspects. These include emotions, cultural context, the means of communication, as well as our location. Good communication skills are so desirable and hugely define our added value as a professional salesman. These are three categories of communication. This is a type of oral communication wherein a message is transmitted through the spoken words. It refers to gestures, facial expressions, eye contact, body language, posture, and other ways people can communicate without using language. Written communication means the sending of message, orders and instructions in writing through letters, manuals, office manuals, bulletins. This is a formal method of communication and is less flexible. In this video, I would like to talk about mastering our body language, which is a part of non-verbal communication while negotiating. Commanding your body language is essential for business communication and understanding your counterparts. So here are some tips which might be useful for successful negotiation. Generally, mirroring will leave people with positive feelings and can make a person more persuasive. Mirroring is often one aspect of being charismatic, being persuasive, building rapport, developing immediacy, and overall having a positive impact on someone. Mirroring starts by observing a person's body posture and then subtly letting our body reflect the position. If his arms are crossed, then slowly begin to cross your arms. If he leans back, you do the same. When using mirroring in a business setting, you will know that you have developed mutual rapport if your partner begins to mirror you in return. Change your arm position and see if he will match your movement into the new posture. If you were to use this technique in a sales presentation and your prospect subconsciously matched your body language, it would be a signal of trust and rapport. But if your prospect mismatched, you should consider the possibility that he isn't yet convinced. Being able to identify mirroring from an outside perspective will help you to identify it better in your own interactions as well. If you can find a mutual setting to do this, try movies or TV shows. Make note of mirroring in your own interactions. Become more aware when you find yourself or another person adopting a similar posture or repeating back certain words or taking a sip of a drink at the same time. Mirroring can be found to some extent in almost any interaction. Actively practice small forms of mirroring. Just focus on one aspect of mirroring in your interaction. Don't be afraid to break mirroring. Trying to mirror everything all the time will come off unnatural and awkward. Don't be afraid to do your own thing and let the person do their own thing. You don't need to be 100% physically in sync to be connecting with someone. It's just one tool at your disposal. It turns out that where and how we use our eyes is an extremely potent form of human communication, and you can use that to your advantage as you get to know someone and try to build solid and lasting bonds with them. Eye contact and visual contact can be informative when people don't know each other, like in job interviews or negotiations. When people do not have a strong incentive to cooperate or compete, it may help them to form a more complete impression of the other side. That said, one should be careful not to read too much into eye contact because most of us are no better than chance reading others' facial expressions. In a competitive business environment, when taking part in negotiations or business deals, for example, be aware that people who look you directly in the eye may be not as friendly as you think. And if you want to come across as honest and trustworthy, especially in more international settings, direct eye contact may indicate the opposite. In many Asian cultures, for example, looking a person of high status in the eye is a sign of disrespect, while looking away signals indifference. There are also significant differences between the genders in relation to how they communicate with each other. Men tend to respond differently to eye contact than women. For example, boys tend to avoid eye contact when they play with each other. Some research shows that as they prefer to play with someone else from the same gender sitting side by side, whereas two girls are more likely to sit facing each other while playing. This difference also exists in adulthood. Women are more comfortable gazing at each other, they gaze for long periods of time. Men tend to avoid it and associate it with attempts to dominate the conversation. So when you're looking straight into the eye of your counterpart, please avoid looking directly into his soul. When people are nervous or stressed, it often shows in their hands. When you're negotiating, make sure your hands project confidence and poise. Fidgeting or clasping your hands tightly together reveals that you're nervous. The other party can take advantage of that. Try putting your hands just below your chest, put your fingers together when you want to confidently make a point. Hands on the table is a sign of openness and friendliness. It shows that the person is quite relaxed and open-minded. When people do this generally, their palms are open, unless they're holding a pen or something similar. Open palms communicate honesty and openness. Politicians use this technique all the time. Steepling is a gesture when the fingertips touch and the palms are apart. Making a gesture like a church steeple gives an air of confidence. Be careful when you're negotiating with someone who uses this gesture. Question them and find out why they're so confident. Is it real or false? Poker players often use this gesture to signify or not whether they have a good hand. Hands pressed together rather than steepled will make you look like you are praying. People that do this might be looking for help to solve this problem, perhaps from a divine source. So if you press your hands together, that is the impression you will give. In a negotiation, often the signal can be seen lower than it would be in, say, religious ceremony, as the person subconsciously doesn't want you to see their difficulty. Folded arms are perceived as defensive gesture. It could be that the person is being defensive because they are cold, or that they are having negative internal thoughts, or they are being negative with you. If you cross your arms, you need to be aware of the negative vibes you are giving out. If you want to be seen as open as you want to be, please avoid folded arms. Your face, head and hands are obvious body parts to control when negotiating, but your feet, not so much. Keep them firmly planted on the ground to show your resolve. It also ensures that you avoid coming off as ambivalent or stubborn. This helps you stay confident too. Crossing of ankles is a defensive gesture, not so obvious as the crossed arms, but potentially indicates the same negativity. People with crossed ankles are more likely to have more concessions to give in negotiation. Although it is difficult to see their crossed ankles under the table normally, unless you have a glass table, for example. Similar to folded ankles, a defensive gesture. We instinctively nod our head for several reasons. Most of us believe that to nod our head up and down is a signal of agreement. In most cultures, nodding of the head means that the listener is awake and paying attention to the contact. Most men nod their heads to indicate agreement. The message is that I hear you and I agree with your point. Women nod far more often than men, and that is not always to indicate agreement. Many women will nod their head before the man starts to speak. Obviously, they cannot be signaling agreement because no information has been shared yet. The head nod at this point is actually giving the man permission to speak. When most people nod their head while listening, it is an indication of attending to the conversation. It is a conscious body language signal that indicates understanding. But be careful to confirm agreement in other ways. Nodding does not necessarily mean agreement. When you're smiling, the whole world smiles with you. Yes, the old song is right, smiles are contagious, but that's just one of the superpowers of smile. Smiling makes you seem courteous, likable and competent. Those first two qualities seem logical, but smiling makes you seem competent. Speculation. If you look sad or anxious, perhaps others wonder if you know what you're doing, so perhaps a single smile might be a shortcut to business success. The moment anyone walks into your office, reception, shop, business space, give a warm and welcoming smile. There is no doubt that a genuine smile of hospitality when a person first comes into contact with your business will leave them with a good impression about your business culture. A smile when someone first enters your business space lets them know they are being acknowledged and that you care. It's the first thing salespeople learn. Business deals can be done through smiling. Even on the telephone, your smile can be heard. It changes the intonation of your voice. Smiling gives you credibility and emanates confidence. A smile is a great icebreaker. Imagine meeting someone for the first time. If they are unfriendly or scolding, they're not likely to encourage you to do business with them. It's definitely a turn off. A genuine smile, on the other hand, conveys positivity and warmth. Approaching customers or other members of the business community is much more likely to set up for a positive interaction. A smile can influence what the other person does or says next. So that is actually true. The whole world smiles with you. So basically that is all concerning our body language while negotiating. Of course, these are just a very general guidelines. This topic is so infinite, we might discuss it for hours and hours. Whole directions in science are dedicated to it. Serious researches are made to understand how we communicate without words. But mastering even the most general rule might fundamentally improve your negotiation skills and skyrocket your added value as a professional. By the way, these tips might be also applied to communicating with people in general, not only in business. So thank you for watching this video. I would really appreciate if you put a like or a dislike, and please subscribe to my channel. I strongly believe that with the right plan, even an imperceptible penny might return a ponderable pound. Thanks for watching and see you later.